welcome back to Here for the Dads podcast. It's your boy, Meyer Crawl. Only if you guys knew how hype I am right now. Like, you guys have no idea the control I'm trying to keep. I'm trying to keep my composure because I'm in a home where I went from a boy to a man, right? Like I have so many attachments to the home and to the man that's sitting right next to me. Before I even get into it, because I know we got some great stuff to talk about, I want you guys to go ahead and rate this video, subscribe, share, because we're trying to build a community of people for non-existing dads, dads who are already existing, future dads. We're trying to do all that good stuff. Also, if you haven't gotten your Father's Day present, you're a little bit late. And I need you to get into the link on my bio and use the discount code HERETHEDAD 73874 and go get you a dad cap. Now that I got all the formalities out of the way, please, round of applause for my dad. I'm calling my dad, Mr. Baylen Looney. What's going on, Poppy?
What's up, baby? Good to see you, man. Always a pleasure.
Man, I was like, how am I even going to do this intro right now? Like, I have no clue how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to keep my composure. We've already sat down and had a conversation for like over an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. It's normal for us already.
Absolutely.
It's already normal, and you've given me so many nuggets in the time. So I'm happy that I'm getting a chance to like sit down in front of cameras. They're gonna see a little bit like how natural already this is. This is already what we already do.
No, this is it. Yeah.
The cameras are just like here now.
I have on headphones and there's a microphone.
You know what I'm saying? This is all good stuff. So first, before we even get started, tell them why you're here. Like, tell them about you, your kids. Like, give your own intro.
Okay, yeah, well, it's super simple, right? So for those folks who know me, it is 100% certain and clear to them that the thing that I value most about me being who I am is the fact that I'm a dad, right? I value being a dad over just anything else. I care so much about serving as a good, solid role model for my children, and not just my children, as we discussed earlier, children in the community, right? I want people to see me as a positive person for children and for the idea of the family life. So, talk to my children. I know you know them all very personally.
Oh, yes.
They'll tell you the same thing. I'm always Pops. Pops, what's going on?
Pops. I don't even know what else to like call you. Like when me and Sony pulled up in the driveway, like I wanted to introduce you. I couldn't even really say Mr. Looney. Like I tried.
It doesn't work that way.
I've never even called you that. Like from the moment I've met you, it's just been nothing but like love.
Absolutely.
And just where do you get that from? Like,
I'll tell you that part really came from my mother. My mother was incredibly affectionate and just a really, really strong woman. She was the bedrock for our family. And so it was natural coming from her to be engaged and loving and just 100% endearing, right? And so that's one of the real positive traits that I took from her. I wanted to have that aspect of her where, and you see my children, man, whenever we were with each other, same thing with you. You walk up first thing and there's nothing but hugs. Nothing but hugs. And it's funny, right? Because, I'll be sitting upstairs, kids are all in the house, everybody's doing their thing, and there's plenty of spaces to sit, but they'll come literally just lay on top of me. And they're grown men with wives.
We're not talking about when they're 4 or 5
No.
years old.
We're not talking about when they're babies. It's like today.
A couple of weeks ago.
Exactly.
Like this is now.
Yeah.
And it's good to still have that relationship.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. I so value the relationship. It's one thing, and you'll see, man. You got these beautiful babies, you and Tiana. You're just a beautiful family. I look at the pictures and I see you guys playing and I see the boys doing their thing, and the internet makes it super easy. It causes.
I was about to say, I don't even got it.
It makes it right home for me, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but I see that and I think to myself, and it reminds me so often of when my boys were little. Mm-hmm. Right, and that engagement that we had, we just don't have it on film like you guys have, like every day. I guess film or digital or whatever. I don't even know we can do stuff nowadays.
I don't even know what to call it.
I don't even know what to call it. But I see your guys' engagement with your babies, and to me, it is absolutely heartwarming. And then, when I started seeing your guys' podcast, I was like, man, I have got to figure out a way to get on there because I need to be able to talk family, and talk about, my, the way I saw, the way Stormy, the boy's mom and I, the way we saw, the things that we needed to do to make sure that our babies were prepared to take over the world.
Yeah.
Because we weren't trying to build just good people. We were trying to build leaders that are going to be able to take over, over everything. Because at some point, we're no longer going to be here. And I wanted to be 100% certain that our babies were going to be able to take over and do everything.
I love just hearing you say our babies.
I mean, that's what it is.
Like, because for some people on the outside looking in, like, and they don't know the relationship between a father and his kids, or son, or daughters, or whatever. And you think that naturally you grow out of it. I remember watching a video. It was, I don't know, it was just, you just see stuff on YouTube or something. It was something on Instagram. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know, 5-year-old kid or whatever. And he was talking to his mom. And his mom was like, yeah, we're going to go to my dad's house. And she didn't call him grandpa. Yeah. He was like, your dad? Like, why do you have a dad? Like, you don't have a dad. Yeah. He's like, no, I have a dad. That's your grandpa. And it was so hard to try to get the kid to understand. Yeah. They thought you graduate from it. Sure. Like, you just don't have a dad anymore. It's like, no, you're always going to have a dad. Always. And like seeing the relationship between you and your sons, they're still your babies. Listen, and like, that's how I feel right now. I was like, I always want them to be my baby.
Listen, when my phone rings, the boys pick up and say, hey, what's going on, baby boy? I mean, they all get the exact same thing because what? They're my baby boys. And they never will stop being my baby boys. They will always be my baby boys. As a matter of fact, I got this thing I got to tell you.
Oh, talk to me.
Yeah, so super blessed. Jeremiah and Nicole had our first grandbaby.
Let's
first
go.
Biological grandbaby. So
let's go.
Just beside myself with the idea of having this little, beautiful little angel. So I'm visiting them. Everything's wonderful. And, it comes time that I have to come back home. So I'm like, all right, I got to leave. And then Nicole comes out, and Jeremiah's sitting next to me. Nicole hands the baby to me, and I take Indra, and I'm sitting there looking at her. I said, baby, granddad's got to go, but I love you so much. And I'm just,
man, just taking it all in.
Just taking it all in, right? And so I'm sitting there, and then I take Indra, and I hand her to Jeremiah, right, who's sitting right next to me. And he goes, hey, daddy's baby, blah, blah, blah. So he's doing the whole daddy thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And then he takes Indra and hands her to Nicole. And I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm seeing this whole thing. And then he takes my arm, and he lifts my arm up. And then he snuggles his head right on my chest.
Wow.
And then I go, oh, you still daddy's baby.
You still daddy's baby, boy. Man, that is amazing.
I say, you still daddy's baby.
That's amazing.
And so
that's
I'm telling you, it is a full circle thing. And when your children and your babies, I'm watching them. I'm watching you guys raise them. That to me, that's a blessing because I get to see it, basically real time. As you're raising them, they're taking all of those traits and all your guidance, and they're going to use that. That will be a part of who they are. They won't know that it's not a part of who they are, right? It'll be such a part of the people that they turn into that you don't have to ask. I don't have to worry about. I never worry about what my children are thinking or doing. I don't concern myself with their day to day because I know that they're doing the right thing. I know. I say our children. I know. Yes, we talk to them all the time. You talk to Stormy. We have family time on the phone. Probably 3 times a week. Probably.
Talk to me about this because I know, like you said, like you know their thoughts, you know what they're thinking, you just know they're doing the right thing. Yeah. How do you know when you've reached the point where like they get it? I feel like I tell my kids so many times certain things, and sometimes they get it, right? But I never know. It's like, okay, now he's got it. Like, how do you reach that point? Or like, how do you get there?
That's such a great question. I'm telling you, it's not on everything. It's on things, though. Okay. For instance, I refer to Jordan a lot because his stuff is so memorable because he's the first one to do things. Clearly, he's the oldest kid, right? I can remember one time Stormy and I are in bed, and we've been trying to potty train Jordan. And and then all of a sudden, it's like midnight, 1 o'clock or whatever. His light comes on, and then he walks to the bathroom. Bathroom light comes on. He uses it, flushes, washes his hand, turn off his light, go back to his room, turn off his light, go to bed. I said, well, potty trained.
What? Lord,
And that's when you
I'm just asking you right now. I see what you've done for others. That's all I'm thinking about. Because right now, we're going to get back to it, but I'm trying to get a dog. And my wife told me I can't have a dog until we get the 3 out of potty.
You got to get them out of diapers.
All out of diapers.
Oh, my God. Don't talk about diapers. I know Josh is going to see this, but we got to talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about
Stormy and I thought for the longest time, it's like, we have got to be the best parents on the planet. Because Jordan was pretty potty trained. I mean, into regular underwear, like at 20 months. He wasn't even full 2 years. He was like, this kid did everything. Whatever he asked, he just did it.
Wow.
And so the first time when he was wearing his pull-up, his pull-up was like dry like a week. I'm like,
that's amazing.
The pull-up was wearing out. I was like, well, I guess we should probably just put him in some regular underwear. And so it was good. Joshua, on the other hand, Joshua. You talk about a strong little
keep it real with me, Daddy.
This kid here, man, I thought he was going to be like 16 years old. Because he was just, there was a lot going on. So let's be real about how life works in the military.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, please talk about this.
So, life it's hard, right? So I was on a deployment pace. So we're doing workups to go on deployment, and so I'm kind of in and out. And then Stormy's busy at work, and then our in-laws live with us too, which was really helpful. That's good. Because they were able to serve as backstops for so many things, right? And so it's super comforting to have family there.
Yeah.
But they weren't there with us the whole time. It was just, early on, we had this really wonderful, when we were in California, we had this really wonderful child care provider, and the children loved her. And so that part was great. So we had a good little network.
The village people
The
talk
village.
about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the village. And so, sitting there and kind of rearing them and having this network around us really, it really kind of set the stage and established an opportunity for us to be able to hone in some real teaching points and to watch them gather those and make it a permanent part of it, right?
Gotcha.
So it was difficult in that the hard part about parenting is less about teaching and providing the structure. The hard part is much more so on the parent. It's the consistency, right?
Yes.
And so, we can think about what it is we want to do, but man, it requires a level of consistency. And what we weren't able to do with Joshua is have that consistency because there was extra stuff. So Jeremiah came, and then Jordan's already kind of doing this thing, but with me in and out for deployment stuff, and Stormy, being busy at work, and her mom and dad helping out whenever they can. Joshua got to a point where he was training well, but then he was like, okay, no one's really looking at me, so I'm just going to do my thing.
It becomes kind of an attention thing.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
So, because me and my wife, we're very busy.
Okay, yep.
Right? I have the media company in the studio. My wife's a foster care manager. So, in my head, she managed about 6 different houses.
Yes.
Right? So, and now we have 4 kids in the house, a biological and 3 foster.
Okay.
So,
First off,
that's
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For real.
You looking back now, what would you tell your old self face to face how you could have developed consistency with that busy schedule?
Right. So it's one thing to be busy and be at home, but it's something to be busy and to be at sea.
Yeah.
Right. And so being physically separated, it just doesn't afford you that ability to have the same level of consistency. It's just not the same. We were fortunate with Jordan because I wasn't deploying and he was a little bit older, so he could hear and understand things. And at the time, he was the only child, so the energy was all focused on him.
Right.
Then when Joshua came, the schedule was really, kind of gangbusters, and it was hard to give him the level of consistency that he needed in order to to go all the way
Kinda,
through,
yeah.
right? And so once he decided, and then Josh is he's a whiz kid, right?
Yeah.
So once he decided, oh, I can use this to my betterment.
When it became better for him.
Oh, listen, he was good. I mean, he was good. Jeremiah was potty training number 2 before Josh was done potty training number 2. Wow. Josh would sit there and go, "Good job, Jeremiah. You are a big boy."
My boys, I'm doing it on my own time. though.
And Josh would be like, and then Josh would sneak off to the corner. It's like, "Hey, where's Josh? Where's Josh?"
That's the hardest part when you lose him. You see him over in the corner.
It's a wrap.
Me and my wife, we already know. As soon as we start seeing that, we look at each other and go,
Uh-oh. Exactly.
rock, paper, scissors. Man, she gets me every time. I've been good this week.
Oh, yeah.
But what she realizes, for some reason, Azai has a little bit more luck.
Sure.
So she like, Azai, handle daddy for me.
Right.
And I lose to Azai every single time. We get the rock, paper, scissors, man.
She says,
Oh, yeah.
Azad to do it for you?
Yeah, because he'll be in the garage in the playroom.
Yeah.
And he'll just hear, ew, Avery sting. And he's just like, ah. We both chilling on the couch, watching something on TV, and we pull it out. She's like, I'm using Azai. I'm just like, all right, whatever, bring him in here. Azai handle my light work, and then Azai beats me.
Listen, Josh was, I'm telling you, Josh was intellectual or something. He was not your average little boy. He would walk up with a pull-up and wipes and be like, "Hey, Daddy, can you change my?" He couldn't say his L's right. He said, "Can you change my pull-up?" And I'm like, "Nah, son, you need to go talk to your mom." He goes, "I already talked to mom. She says no." Well, I'm like, "Son, if we're having a conversation, you got to be able to go talk to the door." It was the worst.
Yeah, I know you know what you're doing.
I know what you
point,
set me up, right?
Yeah, if I could ask you, I'm like,
Yes.
did you poo poo?
Yeah, you know the
They say
answer.
yeah.
You knew it was coming. It wasn't a surprise. And so, listen, it gets even worse. And so, Joshua was, Stormy was like, "You're going to poop today in the toilet." So she set him on the toilet, and she did not let him up.
There we go.
He just sat there. And I thought, oh, boy. And so, sure enough, he sat there. And when he finally went, after he went, he stood up, turned around, and vomited in the toilet. And I was like,
Because he smelt it for the first time.
no, it wasn't even that. Now I'm really concerned. I got to do some research. So
I'm thinking because he smelt it or something.
No. So we didn't know. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So now I'm trying to figure out, what does this mean? And so I know you've heard the term anal retentiveness.
I have in the military.
Right. Well, that was a Freud concept. Sigmund Freud had that concept. So the concept was children associated, their defecation as a part of their bodies, and they felt like if they did it and it went away, eventually their bodies would go away.
Wow.
So the idea of taking
Defecating,
a
right?
dump and not disappearing was foreign to kids.
Wow.
Right. And so I didn't know.
Yeah, I would never thought
and
that.
so, I think the idea of doing it in a diaper kept it next to them and they can wipe the diaper off, whatever, but that they're not disappearing. I don't know how a kid's brain works. I just know in that particular instance, I was like, is that what's going on? I didn't know, but I knew that after he was throwing up, after he did that, I'm like, well, clearly I don't care if he's 50 years old, if we can't have him taking a dump and then turn around and vomiting every time.
Yeah, no, that's not
so
going to work.
we gotta stop. So, but then this boy, eventually Josh comes and he's like, "Hey, Dad, Mom, I don't need my pull-ups anymore." I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm gonna go boo-boo in the toilet now. That's all he said. Boo-boo in the toilet now. In the toilet. He couldn't say his L, so it's like boo-boo in the toilet. And so, and so then he was done. But, it was kind of on his own terms. And a lot of that, it was because we were busy in ways that we just were not with Jordan.
That definitely played a part in us potty training Avery too.
Yeah.
Because we started, I want to say, before he even turned 2 years old. We started in Guam, and we were getting after, kind of showing the potty and get a little treat or whatever. And then as we came over here, now we're in a hotel. We don't have the little potty thing anymore.
Yeah.
We're trying to
It
get
just
out of the
changed
house.
everything
We
out of the
gotta
habit.
clean up,
Yeah.
and it just got hard. It's like
absolutely.
Potty training can really be a beast. Sleep training is another one of those things.
We got to talk about sleep.
Please talk about sleep, because right now we keep taking the babies into like a different stage, and They were. It was easier. I heard when they were 4 or 5 months, and then we kind of missed the mark, and then now we're trying to do it at 8 months, and it's really hard on my wife because for me, I can kind of tune it out, and I'm like, okay, we'll cry him out. I sleep trained Avery and I sleep trained Azai,
Right.
but it was me basically telling my wife, hey, go into a part of the house and lock yourself away because I'm gonna do it my way, and they're gonna cry it out most of them.
Sure.
No, I didn't fully do cry out every single time. Kind of picked them up, coddle them. Just wanted them to kind of learn how to put themselves back to sleep.
Right.
But now the house that we're in, she just can't get away from it.
Right.
And anytime we try to do like a check-in, you read different articles on how to do it and read the books and stuff. And man, it's hard. Like
Right.
my wife's like, I can't take it. Like
It's
I
definitely
just can't. And even with 2-year-old now, he's been sleeping, but now every once in a while he just gets up and stuff. So we really got to build a routine. Can you tell me like? What is that for you?
So I mean, so again, all the children were different to a degree, and in that early stages, that 2-3-year-old, that's a tough phase, no matter what. I mean,
Absolutely,
it's really hard, and it's going to be pretty child dependent. I think one of the ways for me, I've never been a let them cry it out kind of a guy. I'm like, I'll go in there and just rub their little heads, comfort them, and then let them fall back asleep. And just
Like the back rub and stuff like that.
So again, the military thing, as you know, is complicated. So when I came home from deployment, this is a tough one. Jeremiah, our youngest, he really didn't know me that well because he was a baby when I was doing my workups.
That's hard.
And so then we go out and do 6 months. I came home and Joshua and Jordan are over the moon to see me. And Jeremiah's like, who the heck is this guy? And what are you doing trying to sleep in the bed with my mama? Right? That was the thing. Because, and Stormy would be the first to tell you. So she would, to comfort Jeremiah, she would just let him sleep with her because that way she could get some sleep, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so he was super comfy with being in the bed with her. And I get home and then I'm like, go to climb in the bed. He would literally put his back on his mom and then put his feet on me and try to push me out of my own bed. I was like, son, this is not how this works.
Like, brother, you have
I'm like,
idea.
no, baby, no. So it took a while before Jeremiah and I kind of rekindled our relationship, but it was tough. Yeah. And the thing about it is, it's hard to as a parent because 6 months in our lives, is it's July, no, it's June. It's crazy. It's June.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
it just went through.
Out of nowhere, right?
Exactly. All of a sudden, it stopped being cold, and now it's smoke from Canada. I don't know.
There we go. Smoke from Canada.
And so, but 6 months to a 1.5-year-old is, a third of his life.
That's my whole life. Though.
Exactly. Right.
I hardly remember the rest of it. So
exactly. I don't know what was happening then. All I know is you're here and you're sleeping in a spot where I'm supposed to sleep.
Wow. Yeah.
That's hard to do. And so, so developing those habits is tough. And again, it's about consistency, and it's about setting the environment, right? And so, one thing that we were really good at, particularly as the boys got older, we were super good about their bedtimes. And bedtimes are everything. I think that's part of the reason that our children were so bright. Granted, they got a great support network,
right.
And their mom and I, we're no slouches academically. She'll argue she's much brighter.
Y'all play no games at nothing.
I agree.
I wouldn't compete with y'all at anything, to be honest.
I got a story for you. I don't know if we can get to that, but there was a big fight when the boys were in high school. We were doing the indoor track thing. I know I can get off base real easily.
No, you can.
But
I love the baseball terms too, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I didn't think baseball guys use backstop already.
The whole Savannah State Championship.
Hey, come on now,
let's play ball, baby. So there was this thing where one of the rival schools out of PG County was it was kind of a notorious school for fights and gun violence. It was just that kind of school.
It just got wild.
So it was crazy. And so we're in this indoor track, beautiful facility, and there's this huge event thing going on, and all of a sudden this bit of a brawl breaks out kind of in front of us, right? And so I see this happening, and then Stormy and I, we pounce. Right? Stormy and I, not some other people. Stormy and I pounce. She grabs like the main assailant dude. And you know how they have those cattle, for lack of a better term, those cattle fences that separates the track from the crowd or whatever. She grabs this kid and she gets him between her and this cattle thing, and she's holding them against this fence. Kid can't move.
Wow.
Right. And so so she's doing that with the kid, and then I'm sitting there grabbing the other kid, and then out of my peripheral vision, there's his body streaking by, and I go, boom! I grab this guy across the chest, and then when I look at him, I make eye contact. It's a dad. He goes, "I'm a dad. I'm just trying to help." I'm like, "Oh, bro, you're moving too fast. I'm in the middle of some action."
Yeah, no, you can't cross the bubble, dog. Exactly. You cross the bubble.
And so the coolest part about all of this is after everything settled down and they ended up getting these kids out of the facility, the coaches from my kids' high school, they come over, they're like, "Oh my God." I was like, "What?" They were like, "Look at your boys." And Joshua and Jordan were sitting up in the stands. They were like this. I mean, didn't even flinch. Didn't even flinch. They were like this. They were like, "That's just how it works." And they were like, "No wonder your kids are so awesome," right?
Chilling.
Because look, listen, I guarantee you talk to Story about this. She'll tell you. She grabbed that kid. That kid was struggling.
She's mama lying.
She is holding this 16, 17-year-old kid against a fence, and he is stuck like this. He can't move.
Dang.
Yeah. And
That's
so,
no game. Mama got strength.
Yeah, no doubt. And so they looked at that, and they were like, "Oh man, you guys, no wonder you guys are as good as you are, because you don't get options in this house." And that's that's the thing. I mean, the options you get are all positive options in our
That's
household,
good.
right? So,
That's good.
You're either going to be, a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon.
Because that's what we're going to do.
Which options?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We ain't going to do nothing crazy. But they do a little bit of everything, though. It's like they take that option. Like, you have All-American boxers.
Oh, I know.
In your
Great.
home.
Yeah.
Like, that's wow. Like,
Listen, they begged me to box. Like, coming up there like that, we need buy us boxing gloves for Christmas. I'm like, no, I'm not buying boxing gloves to let you guys just beat on each
yeah,
other.
because really, I mean, you got three boys. They're going to beat on each other. It's going to happen.
Oh, there's a host. I don't know if you ever, because it's just for dads or whatever, but Stormy has a story about a fight that Joshua and Jordan got into. I was in the reserves. I was reserve duty. I came home.
So you weren't even home.
I wasn't even home. They met me. All of them met me at the door. They were telling me what this big fight was, and it was a big fight. Like, there was blood.
What?
And they were
boys?
They got. Oh yeah. You're gonna talk to the boys about this. There were some Spartan kicks. There were some. It was all of that. It was about some Chick-fil-A, because
Oh, I actually heard part of this story. But I got to hear the story like unscripted,
Jesus
right?
chicken will do that to you.
Yeah, it will do that
listen.
to you.
And
I gotta
then
hear this, like,
when
it's
your
just
big
us.
brother takes your sandwich and throws it across the room, apparently that's not.
That's it.
That's going
earn
to be
you
a
some
real
power
problem.
slaps,
Yeah.
You'll get a power slap from that. So I've heard a lot about like the boys and like how they grow up, because I'm always asking. You got three boys, I got 4 boys, right?
Yep.
And I kind of want to be where you are. I want to have the relationship. But one thing I haven't asked you much about is your relationship with your father growing up, the impact maybe he had on you or didn't have on you. Can you tell me a little bit about
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So my dad, first of all, was a wonderful gentleman. I mean, he was, how do we say this? Peace. Look, my mic is moving.
Yeah, it just keeps sliding down. It's like trying to run away from it. It's like
So as I was saying,
it just keeps sliding down in the chair with you.
I'm trying to tighten it up. Okay.
It's
I'm
kinda funny,
gonna
too.
do this. I'm gonna tighten it like
You
a
can
minute.
tighten it as tight as possible.
Okay, there we go. I think we're good.
Careful
now.
what you ask for, man. You
I'm
know,
done tightening
You got
it.
old man strength now.
That's right,
You be
that
working
old
on
man
cars.
strength,
You be
that's
doing
right.
all type of stuff. Like,
Move some stuff around.
pop out
That's what I do.
forearms.
And so my dad was a pianist, so he could play the piano like nobody's business.
Wow.
He could play by ear, exquisite at that. He could hit a golf ball like Tiger Woods. The dude he could have been a
everything in his
professional.
hands,
He was he was that guy. He was a truck driver, just a wonderful all around dude. But there were some other things. I mean, it was complicated, right? And so, but my parents divorced when I was 6 years old, and they remained great friends. My dad remarried. My stepmom's beautiful. I got two sisters from my dad's second marriage, so super wonderfully pleased with that. But during the time when I was coming up, my dad was a truck driver. He was a truck driver all of his life, and so he'd be gone a lot. And that being the case, I had a lot of other influences as far as father figures. Both my grandfathers, who happened to be next door neighbors.
That's cool, man.
I thought all kids' grandparents lived next door to each other because why not? I mean, they were literally next door neighbors. My mom and dad literally grew up together. It was a thing. Right, and so we're super blessed.
Where are you from? Like,
from this little town called Sylacauga, Alabama. Look it up on the map. I know.
You got to take me there.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Okay. That's one of the things. That's the boys about it. I made a point when I was raising them, or we were raising them, to take them to my hometown so they could see precisely where I grew up, the environment, the whole 9 yards. Because I wanted to impress upon them how, your life ultimately is what it is you make. Like, you can blame the world for whatever happens to you. That's easy to do because you can just go, hey, listen, I'm this way because of this. Mm-hmm. Or you can take all of that and then you can turn it to a positive thing and make it so that it works in your benefit, right? And so that was my approach to life. It's like, listen, one thing I know for sure is that I've outgrown little Sylacauga, Alabama. I'm going to not be here for the rest of my life.
That's good.
I knew that part. Yeah. So it's funny, I needed some prodding because I'd played baseball and I was hopeful that I'd get an opportunity to play professionally, and then kind of injured myself a little bit, and so that part wasn't panning out as I hoped. With injuries and stuff, but I had a couple small opportunities to play ball, but my family couldn't afford anything, right? So we in order for me to go to college, I needed a free ride, and the only place that would guarantee me a full ride was the Navy. So Navy's like, hey, listen, we'll pay for everything. We're just looking at your academics. We'll send you to school. I'm like, hey, sign me up for the free stuff. Yes, right?
I heard that. Give me the free.
Because what I did know is Sylacauga was not going to be the place that was going to get me to the place I needed to be, right? And so, as much as I love my little town, I love going back there, it was not going to afford me the opportunity to be where.
Did you meet those like role models on the way, like through that journey?
Absolutely. I mean, like I tell folks, my high school sweetheart's dad ended up being the mayor of my town. Wow. Everybody knows she's my high school sweetheart, but I mean, we go all the way back. And so her dad was the mayor of the town, and I always, first off, he was my middle school principal.
The same guy,
right?
Oh wow, that sounds like a small town.
It is a small town. It is the whole small town feel that you imagine in Middle America is what my town was. I think it was a great place to grow up because you got all of the stuff, right? All of the. I mean, there are bad things there, and there were wonderful things there. You just got everything. And then I had like these amazing baseball coaches and these amazing people in the community that were just genuinely good people, right? And so, and they cared about us. My mom being a single mom, we're growing up in this housing project. They cared about us on a different level. Yeah. We couldn't offer them anything. They were just trying to help our family get from point A to point B, right?
And how many of y'all were?
I have three brothers, so it's four of us, right? And so, and that's a whole nother thing. So, so my oldest brother was, it was a little tough for him. I think it had a lot to do with his age as my parents were divorced because he was a little bit more knowledgeable and understanding about what was going on, where myself and my younger brothers, we were like, we're kind of young when it was happening. Yeah. And so, we kind of got used to it in a different way. But again, my dad and my mom were still really tight as far as just being good friends and great parents for the both of us, for all my brothers and I. It was tough. Yeah. But as we continue to grow, and it got to be really interesting. My dad was always this free spirit. Always laughing, always engaged. Is
that where you get it from?
Oh, I think a good part of it. A good part of it comes from him, right? So I think I got I got the intellect part definitely from my mom's side. My mom's super bright. I mean, she was like the smartest person I knew. She was so well read that, I mean, I could never come to her with something that we couldn't have a conversation about. To me, that was amazing. And I try to tell people all the time, my mother and I were, although clearly mother and son, we were a partnership for the majority of my life, right? I mean, like a partnership meaning, I would be like her assistant in raising my brothers, doing breakfast, checking homework, that kind of thing. And I'm still a baby. I mean, I'm like 13, 14 years old, and then I'm helping in ways, that's more grown up, right? Like she would give me her checkbook, and I would kind of help her pay the bills out. You know what I mean?
Wow, so you was learning
Just
all this stuff.
all of this stuff early on.
There's a word for that. Like we were talking about, what's the word? It's like being parental, being parental. I'm the English major that can't figure the word out. But yeah, keep going. There's a word for that though. Like being so young and like learning these things young.
Listen, as we were talking about earlier, I feel like by the time I was 16 years old, I was already ready to be a father. I was ready to be. I couldn't wait to have children of my own. I promise you that.
Beautiful though.
I couldn't wait. And so when I met Stormy, I was like, we were already in the same program, we're doing the same things, and I was like, we had options to go to the Naval Academy and all these things, and I was like, you know what, we can just get married, and then we can have children, and we can have them early, and then we can do all these things. We are plotting out life so that we could be retired and not have, all these stuff.
Yeah.
Children be grown, and we're going to raise them to be
you're
these.
planning the whole life out right now.
That was a thing. That was 100% thing.
I feel like guys nowadays would be too scared to have that conversation.
You know what? And trust me, talk to my boys. They'll tell you, Dad's been trying to get us to get married early and have children often. I mean, that's always been a thing.
Wow, that's cool.
So much so that with Jeremiah finally was like, hey, Dad, Nicole and I are expecting. I was like, oh, I'm over the moon. And then Joshua and Jordan were like, ooh, shit, thanks, Jeremiah. We're off the hook. And I was like,
y'all ain't off the hook?
Nope. I said 10.
10.
That's how many grandchildren I need, 10.
I remember at the wedding, it was like,
exactly.
Right,
you're on the clock, baby. I mean, let's go. I mean, I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know
y'all
what
ain't
we're
off the
waiting
hook. You on the clock. That's what you on.
Listen, I was just talking to
Captain Hook don't like clocks. I like that. I like the little poetic right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anyway, I got you.
And so, to see them, and I was telling them, hey, I need at least 3 from each of you. One of you got to give me 4. So you would have been perfect.
Yeah, I'm about to say, throw a twin in there. You be set. I didn't even mean to do that.
And my dad's a twin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My dad running in the family. So is it possible that it could jump? They talk about it jumping a generation.
It has, because I've got cousins who have twins. Yeah, so it's in there. So
little loan, big loan, y'all better be careful now.
Yeah, baby. Let me find out.
They coming.
Exactly. You think you're having one, and voila.
And voila. And people just hear twins, like, we're talking multiples. It don't just mean always 2. You could have whatever.
Oh, exactly. The number's there.
You got to be prepared, man.
Yeah, you do. You do. But yeah, I tell you, it was, you have to pick and choose. As men, we have to take responsibility for our own selves, right? And you can't be an effective dad or effective father or effective father figure until you have owned your own stuff. You got to own your crap, right? And so, to sit and point the finger and blame at other people, hey, man, I mean, save it.
Yeah, you can't sit there and blame.
Save it. I mean, my environment is my environment. I didn't get to choose.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't get to choose my environment, but what I did choose was, how do I get out of this situation? What do I do? What can I affect? That's one thing that I tell people all the time. I say, growing up the way I did, where our family just didn't have much, I grew a skin or the ability to not really give, I'm going to say this out loud, 2 shits about what the next person thinks of me. I can't concern myself with things that are beyond my control. I can't concern myself with what you think.
You have
about
no
me.
control over it.
Zero control over that. So my goal in life was to always do whatever I thought was best for me and my family or whatever. So yeah, I didn't make myself vulnerable to other people in that way. I tell you this. This is a story that I tell all the time to all my friends, that we get to have a personal conversation this way. When I was in 8th grade, having an award upstairs, I was voted the most outstanding 8th grade boy in my middle school. It was a thing.
Yeah, okay.
It was a thing, right? And so at the end of the year, we got this nice plaque, the whole 9 yards, and I didn't know I was going to be nominated for this thing, or voted for it or whatever. But that day we're having this big banquet at the end of the year, and Mr. Cleveland, who is my the
mayor, right?
yeah, the mayor,
Wow.
he tells me. I mean, he goes on stage and they inform me that I'm going to be the most outstanding 8th grade boy, what I think is awesome. So I'm standing at the stage right before they call my name, and the most outstanding 8th grade girl, her name is Tammy Wadsworth, a high school classmate of mine. I think she ended up being a salutatorian of my class. Excuse me. But they go to introduce me. They said the most outstanding 8th grade boy, Baylen Looney. And before they could introduce me, the teacher, there was a teacher standing at the edge of the stage, and she looks at me, and she asks me, I'm an 8th grade child with zero, I mean, I'm a child. Right. I'm still a baby. Mm-hmm. She asks me, is that the best you had to wear today?
Wow. Like straight to your face.
Like she's looking at me and said, is that the best? Like she's going to be embarrassed that I've got to wear what I'm wearing to go on stage to get this award.
The most outstanding
8th grade boy in the whole school. Yeah. And I was like, I remember looking at her and going, boop, chest pops out, and I go up there and I get my award because I can't concern myself with what she thinks about me. And I'm already old enough and mature enough to know the difference, right? I'm like, nah. What I do know is when I take that plaque home in my backpack, my mom's going to see it, and she's going to be happy. Over the moon.
Over the moon.
Over the moon.
And I think sometimes we think that our kids don't, we try to hold the maturity from them, right? We get so afraid, like, oh, they're not ready to learn this, they're not ready to talk about that, or whatever, or they want to encounter racism here, or social this or that. I mean, you're 8th grade, and you're mature enough to know that I cannot sit here and worry about what other people say about me.
I'm already paying bills I'm not paying the bills, but I'm already helping my mother figure out our budget for whatever. I'm already figuring this out. I'm already cooking breakfast. I already got to check my brother's homework before I do my own homework.
Wow.
I mean, I don't have time to concern myself with what other people think of me. I just don't. That is not the thing that I get to do. I don't have the luxury of sitting around concerning myself with other people. I just don't.
Now, how did you implement learning that and doing that into raising your kids?
Absolutely the same way. I was like, listen, I mean, you just can't. I need for you to focus on things. Mm-hmm. And the things I need you to focus on is loving your family, loving yourself, and doing what we need of you. We taught the boys, you have one job. Mm-hmm. I mean, our job is to provide for you. So you're going to have a place to live. You're going to have nice things. I'm not paying $100 for no sneakers. I had that conversation. I mean, you want some Air Jordans? That's on you. I'm gonna give you grass. I'm gonna give you the best thing. I'm gonna give you. I tell them, and they'll tell you right now. I will get you. I will pay for you whatever I would pay for myself. So at that time, the most expensive pair of sneakers I ever owned was $89.99. My boys got $89.99 for sneakers, right? And so, but we taught them the value of things, the value of a good, solid family network. I mean, that's all they've ever known. So my boys they're family men. That's what it is they do. They value that love part over everything else, right?
And that's so important. I think a lot of times when I'm having the conversations with like my guy friends, even before they might not even have kids yet.
Yeah,
it's always about like I want to raise a man. Like I want him to do this. We're gonna shoot guns and all that other stuff, and that's cool. Don't get you still want the manly man, but don't forget about the family part because he's gonna at some point have a family.
That's the integral part. That's the part you teach first. Right, you teach them the physical love, the hugs, the kisses, the nurture. You teach that part, right? Because you're gonna teach them how to change the oil and rotate the tires and dig up worms, and I mean they're gonna learn all that. That part comes right, but there's an emotional intelligence that you build in your child, right? So you start that super early.
I love that you said that.
Like, you started
emotional intelligence early.
You started super early. Oh my goodness! I mean, I got so many of these stories. Jordan's little high school friend. I remember I got to the school to see them, to pick them up one day. There's some banquet or something. I don't know, something going on. And he sees me, he walks up and gives me a hug and a kiss. And his mother says, "You just hug and kiss your dad?" He's like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Aren't you embarrassed?" And then he was like, "Well, my dad."
Right? Like why?
No. He was like, "Absolutely not." I mean, hug and kiss. And then by then he's hugging and kissing me more. He's like, "No." I mean, embarrassed with whom? I don't care anything about these people. They don't. Listen.
But it's because you nurtured that early, though.
Listen, I'm telling you right now. I mean, President Obama could be sitting right next to me. Either of my boys walk into this space, they come give me a hug and kiss first. Oh, let me introduce you to my buddy, Mr. President. They're coming to me first.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
Because this is home to them. I mean, everything else is secondary, and you teach that love up front. That's the first thing you do.
That's so good.
That's the first thing.
That's so cool. And I think we have to remember that. Like,
Yeah,
we talk
yeah.
about like consistency, and I talk about like fathers. Sometimes what we do is just reactionary. Like,
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff we do is we feel like we haven't been given the book or the guide or whatever, and we kind of beat ourselves up about it, and then we just kind of parent based on like reaction.
Yeah.
When we should really be basing that off of trying to get the resources so we can learn, fill our toolbox, and then remember how we're supposed to react in certain situations. When our kids come to us with this or with that, or Dad, my body is doing this and it feels this type of way. Like, what am I supposed to do? Because naturally he might go to Mom, they'll bring us over to us, and or Daddy, I broke this, so and so and so, and you got to be like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Oh yeah, now that's the thing. Teaching, one of the things that we did that I think was instrumental in turning them into the leaders that they are was we didn't afford leadership based on age, right? So Joshua,
That's good, right?
You know what I mean? So it's a thing. Think about this, right? So there's some times, and as your boys get older, there'll be times where Mom is busy doing something, and then you have to go do something, and then they have to kind of police themselves, right? And so instead of always making Isaiah the leader, I mean, like, nope, Avery or one of the other babies, you're in charge. And you're in charge of the TV, you're in charge of cleaning up the room, and you get to choose who does what. And the way we did it was, you get to choose what happens, but your brothers are going to give me a report when we're done.
So there's still accountability.
Right, yes, there's accountability on both ends.
When they hear that, they're like,
"Oh, I'm in charge. Now I'm going to make you do all of
Say
this." And
less.
then it'll be like, "Oh, Jeremiah."
Turn Bluey on. We're eating pizza rolls. You got to go feel the doggy bone.
Yeah. And so, but we taught them to work with each other that way. And so 90% of what happened in the house, we didn't even have to ever hear about because they policed themselves.
That's good.
And so that's one of the little traits that even with academics, they were like, "Jeremiah, bro, you're going to have to step up your game. I saw your grades." And
they'll just straight up do it.
Oh, they were. I didn't even have to talk.
That's good.
They didn't even have to talk. I mean, we have to talk because they would police themselves.
And that's kind of what I'm building right now.
Yeah.
Or what I'm trying to build.
Yeah.
And make sure that they know they need to watch out for each other.
Absolutely.
Have great forceful backup.
Absolutely.
And because naturally, like, you're going to love your brother. You've been with them all this time and stuff. But I want them to also know what I'm expecting out of them as brothers. And the two babies, they can't talk yet.
Right.
But when they get in the fold, they're going to learn the same way.
Absolutely.
And they're going to get a lot of the same
Let me
stuff.
tell you, I'm telling you, one of the things that makes me most proud of my babies when I see them, when they see each other, they just run and hug each other like.
And it's the truth. I've seen it.
You know what I mean? It's the
I've
thing.
seen it. I've seen it plenty of times. Like, Looney was I always say Looney. All y'all Looney. Jordan was my roommate. And I've seen the way he interacts with both his brothers and the love.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the way he's
It's just
interacting.
natural. It's just 100%. It's just organic the way it should
organic.
be. Right.
None of it is built. None of it. This, I can't even understand like how time just went
It's
by
crazy.
so fast. But this is, we're already at an hour like right now.
Oh,
And
we
I
at
feel
an
like
hour?
we just like rolled
Oh, my
into this. So
goodness.
what I'm going to do is
Yeah.
I'm going to make this part 1.
Okay.
Like we're going to have part 2. Like there's no
3,
way.
4,
'cause this is
5.
so
We could do.
natural.
Listen, it's so much of this. I
It's
have
so-
so much of this. I've
We
been a
gotta do
dad now for almost 30 years.
We got to get some more of this out. at some point. So I'm going to call this part 1. This
Okay.
is not going to be the real end. We know
Yes.
we're going to do part 2.
Yep.
But before I end this,
Yes.
what I really want from you, because I've shared with you my idea and my purpose for this and
Sure.
the community and what I
Yep.
want to build. For people who are in the Navy, they understand what a charge is.
Sure.
And maybe like some of the older folk, they might still use that terminology. But
Yeah.
I want a charge from you
Okay.
to me of like what I should be doing, how I
That
should do it.
is wonderful.
Please.
I'm
I
gonna
need
give
that
you
from
a charge. Charges don't change a doggone thing that you're doing. That's a charge. Your babies, I can already see in them. You, Tiana, you guys are doing the right thing. Already, I get to witness that. Don't change any of that. The charge, the big charge for you is to take the love and the generosity and all the things that you're doing to build your family and spread that like you're doing with this podcast to the rest of our community, right? I need for you to engage with other fathers and then you charge them to take all of the things that they've done for their own families and help out the neighbor, help out, somebody you don't know. There's an opportunity for us as Black men to reach into our community and work. We can't save everyone.
Right.
You can't. But there's some opportunity for us to go out and help, move the needle forward in ways that other kids aren't going to see. I mean, I volunteered at schools. Back in the day, my organization partnered with Malcolm X Elementary School. And one of the first things the principal did, I walked in, I'm in Navy, I'm in my whites. He's like, oh, this guy, I got a job for you. So he gives me in his mind, his 5 toughest kids. And there was a whole bunch of stuff. One of the kids was HIV positive. One of the kids was
going through a lot.
It was a lot. This is like elementary school, 5th grade.
Wow.
Right? So it's a lot. But the first thing I did with those children is I told them, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to treat you guys like I treat my own children. I said, whenever I walk into my house, the boys stop doing whatever it is they're doing, and then they come and give me a hug and a kiss because that's what we do. I'm not going to give no kids no hug and a kiss. I don't know, but we're going to hug.
Yeah.
So every time I walk in, this is the first time they're like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Like, come on,
I was
man.
like, yeah, exactly. I said, but by like the 3rd trip, they're waiting in line to get this hug from me, right? And so, I'm developing this relationship with them, and then I tell them this one time I couldn't make their meeting because I had a meeting at work, so I couldn't avoid it. And I know we're over time, but I got.
No, please give it.
So I couldn't make the meeting with them. The next time I walked in the classroom, they were like waiting for me, and I was like, what is going on? They're like, and the one little kid, he was a little effeminate. He said to me, Professor Looney. He says, where were you last week?
Wow.
And then I was like, hey, listen, kids, I had a meeting. They're like, no, that's our time.
Wow.
That is our time. And that, you talk about bringing it home for me. I was like, I'm making a difference in these kids' lives, and consistency is what they need, just like my kids need consistency, right? And so consistency is a thing. So the more consistent you are with your babies, the easier it gets. And the easier it gets over time. There's a point at which the Stormy will tell you, raising the boys is hard because, they're different ages and there's some, little boys. They're going to do what little boys do. But there got to be a time when they're like, let's say 10, 8, and 6, or more like 12, 8, and 10. 100% self-sufficient. There was no more discipline having to happen in my household. It'd just be like, hey, go do this, go do that, go this. That's the end of conversation. That's nothing else to talk about.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
You said 10? Yeah, you know how they bring the nanny into the home? I think we're going to bring Mr. Looney into the home. And it's going to be the parent us. It's going to be the teach and train us, though, because that's what we need. But thank you.
Hey, no, thank you, man. This is absolutely awesome. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
I appreciate it.
I'm here for you. Whenever you guys want to do this, I'm all in. I can't wait to get my boys here so they can.
Oh yeah,
they can tell you.
God, they don't even know yet. We're gonna have a whole special for that. Here for the Daddians. Thank y'all for being here. I'll see you again. Stand by for part 2.